Today, my dear sewing friends, we have another serger only project. It's quick, it's easy, it's useful, and as the name suggests, it's made entirely on the serger, so no sewing machine involved whatsoever. And we do these kind of projects so that way you can build your confidence, you can practice your skills, and you can really discover what your serger can do besides just the basic stitch that most likely it is set on. So today we're going to practice how to adjust your stitch length and why we do it, and also how to get a really nice 90-degree corner on your serger. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and let's get started. For this fully lined drawstring bag, we're going to need 5 rectangles. We will need 2 big ones for the outer fabric, 2 big ones for the lining, and you can see all measurements on your screen. And we will also need 1 small one, and that is going to be to create casings for the drawstrings. Now you can of course use any measurements that you would like, but I think that this is a good place where to start. So grab the smallest out of all 5 rectangles, and let's go ahead and give it a really good press. On the short edges, first we're going to fold in 1/4 inch, then give it a good press. Once that is done, fold it in another 1/4 inch and give it another good press. And we're going to repeat that on both sides. Next, we're going to head to your serger, and here mine is set up as for a regular 4-thread serging. So the stitch finger remains in, we have a regular tension, my differential feed is set at 1 as per regular serging. But there's one thing that I do want to adjust just for this little part in this project, and that is stitch length. Now this is going to be visible on the right side of the project, therefore I like to decrease the stitch length because then it packs the stitches closer together and therefore it makes a really nice trim. My regular setting is usually set at 3 and I will go down all the way to R. Before starting, you might also want to disengage your knife. Most sergers have this function, and if you're not sure how to do it on your serger, just go ahead and take a quick peek in your serger manual. After that, take your fabric, place it right side up, right underneath the serger presser foot, then lower the presser foot and start serging. When you're done, this is what you're going to have, and it's exactly the same technique as we used for our serger scrunchies. Now, if you're just not a fan, I totally understand, we're all different. In this case, just use a regular 4-thread serging technique set for a regular stitch length and you'll be all good. Now, let's grab our rectangle, fold it in half, and give it a good press. Once done, cut along the fold. Next, fold each one of these in half again and give it a good press. For the time being, we can set these aside. Now, grab the large rectangles, and first we're going to tackle the outer fabric. Here, we're going to place the fabric right sides facing, like so. And we're going to sew 3 sides, starting right here, all the way to the bottom, like this, and again all the way to the top. We're going to repeat the same for the lining, but here, however, we're only going to sew the sides. So we're going to leave the bottom and the top open. At the serger, we're going to keep all of the same settings, but in my case, I'm gonna go back to a regular stitch length because for this part, we don't need a tightly packed stitches as I wanted for decorative purposes in the first part. I am also bringing the knife back. Now we're ready. Grab your project, place it underneath your serger presser foot, and start serging. Once we get closer to the bottom, we want to serge all the way till the very edge. On the presser foot right over here, there is a little window where the needles are going through. This is a great way how to track if you're really near the bottom. So once you are, you want to lift up your presser foot and you want to take your project and you want to gently pull it away. Now you can turn it. And with that, now you can place your project right back underneath the presser foot, right where the needles will start serging. Now lower the presser foot and you can continue. Now if you have noticed that you have pulled your project way too much, that's totally fine. Right here, you can pull on those threads so that way you can bring it back in and you're not going to have bubbling threads at the corners. On the lining, it's way easier, just 2 straight lines as I previously mentioned. For this next step, let's take our outside fabric and turn it right side out. To be able to turn these corners out nicely without any snipping, I like to fold in the first seam allowance in like this, and then the second seam allowance in like this. Hold the corner with your finger, and then turn. At this point, you can also give this part a good press. Now grab the drawstring casings and some pins. First, we're going to attach it to the outer fabric. We're going to place one like this centered, and then we're going to pin it just to one layer of fabric. Then we're going to flip it and we're going to do exactly the same thing. Once done, we're going to grab the lining and going to pop it open like this, and we're going to pull it up like that. Right sides of the lining facing the right side of the outer fabric. We want to align side seam with a side seam, and once you have that, go ahead, pop the pins out, and now place them through all layers of fabric. Once again, we're going to repeat that on the other side as well. Next, we're going to take it to the serger and serge all the way around, all layers together. Nesting seam allowances can be really important when it comes to working with a serger. That's when one seam allowance is looking one direction and the other is looking the other direction. It makes it easier to go through all of the layers. Since all of this is going to be hidden inside of the bag, you don't necessarily have to secure the thread. Nothing is going to happen with it, so you can just leave it as is if you'd like. Now, let's turn it like so. And we are ready for the last and final step. To close the lining, we have 2 options. We can either simply serge this part, both layers together, and that's it. Or you can fold it in about 1/4 inch or 3/8 inch, finger press or press with an iron, and then serge it. So whichever way you'd prefer. Make sure you tuck in these little serger tails, and now we can pop the lining back inside of our bag. For the strings, I have 2 pieces of cord. Each is about 22 inches long. We're going to place one in a loop like this. One then is going to go through one casing, the other through the other, and the second cord is going to go in the opposite direction. If you want to see more serger projects, then definitely click right over here and subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to see how I made this blouse entirely from fabric scraps and from an upcycling fail, then click on the video right over here. Thank you so much for watching. Happy serging, happy sewing, and I will see you very soon in another video. Bye!